I am Elias. I speak to you from the edge where light and shadow touch, where the visible world thins and the invisible world rises like a great, quiet tide. There is a veil that most hearts feel without seeing, a thin boundary of mystery between what the eyes can measure and what the soul already knows. It is there, in that luminous borderland, that the life of Padre Pio unfolded. And it is there that the truth about the guardian angels he spoke of still waits for us, patient and faithful, like a presence standing just beyond the threshold of our awareness. Padre Pio lived in a monastery built of stone, set among the hills of southern Italy. But the contours of his existence were not limited by walls and mountains. To those who knew him, the air around him felt charged, as if something immense and unseen were always in motion. His days were shaped by the ordinary rhythms of a friar's life: prayer before dawn, mass, confession, spiritual direction, simple meals, quiet hours. Yet in that apparent simplicity, currents from another world were constantly breaking through. He bore the wounds of Christ on his body, suffered fierce temptations and assaults from dark spirits, and at the same time walked in the company of angels, whose presence for him was as concrete as the stone floor beneath his feet. His letters and the witness of those around him confirm that visions, conversations with angels, and spiritual combat against demons were regular elements of his daily life, not distant abstractions but immediate realities woven into every hour. From his earliest years, Padre Pio moved inside an invisible companionship. As a child, he saw his guardian angel with the clarity most children reserve for siblings and parents. He spoke of this later with a simplicity that unsettles us, because for him it was normal that a shining presence should move beside his bed, that someone made of light should sit with him through the night and accompany him through his days. When his parents thought he was talking to himself, he was talking to his angel. When he seemed to listen to an empty corner of the room, he was listening to a voice no one else could hear. This was not a fleeting childhood fantasy that faded with age. It deepened. God granted him, from his youth onward, the grace to see not only his own guardian angel but also the angels assigned to other souls, especially those entrusted to him as spiritual children. In the quiet of his cell, the world of spirits was as vivid as the world of objects. He knew that every human soul is given a guardian angel, a pure intelligence of light, whose mission is to protect, guide, and accompany that soul from the first moment of life until the threshold of eternity. Catholic teaching had long affirmed this truth, but Padre Pio did not know it only from doctrine. He saw it enacted. He saw angels standing near the beds of the dying, near the confessionals, where sinners knelt, near the pews where people prayed in silence. He recognized them beside soldiers, mothers, children, and doubters. For him, the idea that any person could be alone was simply false. A soul might feel abandoned. It might even reject God outright. But even then, the angel remained at its side, loyal, patient, wounded in love, yet refusing to withdraw, because its mission was not based on emotion, but on the unfailing fidelity of God. The monastery where Padre Pio prayed was thus not only inhabited by friars, pilgrims, and the poor. It was filled with a silent multitude. The corridors, if seen with spiritual eyes, were crowded with guardian angels going about their quiet work. Some waited beside doors, watching over a soul still hesitating to knock. Some stood beside the confessional, interceding for the person inside, bringing to Padre Pio's heart the hidden wounds and sins that needed healing. Others moved swiftly, like flames in the night, bearing messages of intercession from distant lands. Many times, the friar knew the needs of a person he had never met, because their guardian angel had reached him first and placed that suffering before his prayer. Padre Pio's own guardian angel was for him a companion, a teacher, and a protector in a war most people barely sense. The demon fights that racked his nights were terrible. He wrote of brutal spiritual assaults, of being beaten, suffocated, mocked by dark presences that tried to break his trust in God and drive him into despair. In those hours, his angel was not an abstract comfort, but a living ally. When demons circled him with threats and blows, his angel was the one who soothed his pain, sometimes easing the physical suffering after a beating, sometimes giving him the inner strength to endure yet another round of spiritual combat. At other times, his angel would wake him gently before dawn to invite him into prayer, as if to say that praise must rise before darkness has time to weave its illusions. There were nights when the angel nudged him from sleep simply to sing in that small cell, lit only by a faint lamp and the trembling light of stars beyond the window. A man and an angel praised God together. The angel's praise was pure, clear, unstained by fatigue or distraction. Padre Pio's was soaked in suffering and human weakness, yet together they formed a single offering. Human and angelic voices mingling in a hymn that rose from that hillside monastery into the vastness of heaven. It is here that we begin to touch the heart of his experience. The guardian angel is not only a protector in danger, but also a partner in worship. He believed that the angel takes our poor prayers, often clumsy and scattered, and carries them to God more perfectly, much as one might gather scattered flowers into a single bouquet before presenting them as a gift. Padre Pio's angel also served as his interpreter in a very human sense. Letters came to him from every corner of the world, written in languages he had never studied, yet he replied to many of them accurately. Those close to him recalled that he attributed this not to any personal skill but to his guardian angel, who helped him understand what was written, and even to answer in tongues that were foreign to his schooling. In the night, when he was exhausted from hours in the confessional and would have preferred to sleep, the angel would sometimes insist that they continue their praise or that he attend to the needs of souls reaching out to him. This friendship was demanding, not sentimental. It brought consolation, but it also drew him more deeply into the mystery of a God who asks everything of those he loves. It was not only for himself that Padre Pio relied on angels. For him, the guardian angel was a bridge between souls. He often told his spiritual children that if they could not reach him, they should send him their guardian angel with their request. He meant this as a literal invitation. Again and again, people scattered across different countries experienced a sudden impulse to ask their angel to go to him, sometimes late at night. Later, when they were able to visit him in person, they discovered that, at the exact time they had done so, he had felt their need and prayed for them. One woman lamented that he was so far away and wondered whether he would truly hear an angel sent on her behalf. His firm assurance to her, reported later by those who knew him, was not playful but profoundly serious. For him, the spiritual world was as acoustically clear as a quiet room, and the speech of angels was not bound by distance or walls. Imagine for a moment the invisible traffic this implies. While the little town of San Giovanni Rotondo slept, while the monastery was silent except for the soft sounds of breathing and the faint creaks of old wood, countless guardian angels would come and go, entering Padre Pio's cell like rays of light, each bearing the sorrows, questions, and pleas of a soul somewhere else on earth. A man on a ship at sea, facing a storm, a mother watching over a sick child, a young priest battling discouragement, a sinner too ashamed to come to confession. All of them, in their fear or longing, might say in their hearts, "Go to Padre Pio and ask him to pray for me." Their angels, always alert, always watchful, would carry these silent cries in an instant. The friar, already living on the threshold between worlds, would receive them, not as a flood of noise, but as distinct, painful, beloved intentions, and would present them to God. Yet Padre Pio never presented the guardian angel as his private privilege. He insisted on a truth as simple as it is staggering. What he experienced with his angel was, in a different mode, available to every soul. Each of us, he taught, has a guardian angel who watches over us from birth, who stands by our side in childhood games and adolescent confusion, in adult burdens and in the frailty of old age. This angel is not a symbol of comfort, but a real personal presence. It prays for us, guards us, protects us from dangers we see and from 1,000 dangers we never perceive. It whispers to the intuition, nudges the conscience, stirs unease when we approach a destructive choice, and kindles unexpected courage when we are tempted to compromise with evil. According to the vision Padre Pio shared, the ordinary day of any person is filled with small angelic interventions. There is the sudden thought that says, "Do not take that road, turn back, go another way." Perhaps we obey, and a disaster we will never know is quietly averted. There is the quiet reluctance that rises when we are about to say something cruel. The little hesitation that gives us time to reconsider before words that would have wounded are released. There is the unexpected memory of a prayer, long forgotten, that returns in a moment of acute fear, lifting the heart upward when it was about to collapse inward on itself. There is the unexplained peace that descends in a hospital room, in a courtroom, at a graveside, when by all human calculations our strength should break. Padre Pio saw in all these things the fingerprints of guardian angels, subtle yet unmistakable to a soul that has learned to pay attention. He saw also the opposite, the invisible battles that rage around every soul. To him, the world was not a neutral stage, but a battlefield where angels and demons contend for the human heart. The guardian angel is not a decoration in this war, but a frontline defender. It stands between us and the dark intelligences that prowl at the edges of our freedom. Padre Pio knew personally the ferocity of those enemies. He felt them as violent blows, mocking voices, suffocating presences. Yet he also knew that he was not alone in facing them. His angel was like a bright sword at his side, more powerful than any hellish assault, because its strength was not its own but flowed from the victory of Christ. For the souls who came to him, he would sometimes describe how their angels fought for them. When a penitent confessed a long history of sin, despair, or confusion, Padre Pio would remind them that through all those years, their guardian angel had never abandoned them, even when they had turned away from God. He spoke of angels who wept in silence as a person hardened themselves, who tried again and again to gain entry through prayer, through strange coincidences, through encounters with people who spoke a needed word at the right moment. If the person continued in their rebellion, the angel would not force their will, but it would remain near, hoping, interceding, watching for any small opening in the armor of pride or despair. When at last the soul returned, the angel rejoiced with a joy far deeper than anything human. He taught that the guardian angel is especially active in the moments when our choices bend the direction of our lives. A young man deciding whether to abandon his vocation, a woman struggling with a temptation to betray a marriage promise, a businessman weighing whether to act dishonestly, a teenager teetering on the edge of self-destruction. In those hours, the angel speaks more insistently, not with human words, but with impressions, inner lights, and interior movements. A quiet unease when we are about to choose wrongly, a sudden clarity that reveals the true consequences of a path we are considering. A warmth in the heart when we turn back toward what is good. The voice of the angel is never loud, never coercive. It is a soft gravity drawing the soul toward the will of God. Padre Pio understood that. Because this angelic guidance is so gentle, it is easy to ignore. The noise of the world is louder. To live in the way he urged is to choose to listen, to cultivate interior silence and alertness. He encouraged his spiritual children to greet their guardian angel each morning, to entrust their day consciously to its care, to ask for its help in prayer, work, and relationships, and to thank it at night for its hidden fidelity. He saw this not as a devotional embellishment, but as a realistic acknowledgement of a living relationship. Awareness of the angel does not create the companionship. It awakens us to what is already there. In his own life, this awareness permeated everything. When Padre Pio entered the confessional, he knew he was not alone. He believed that the guardian angels of those who came to him would sometimes inform his heart about sins not yet confessed, about wounds not yet named. This is one reason so many penitents experienced his uncanny insight. He could speak to the deepest injuries and most hidden faults, not because he read minds in a human way, but because, as he saw it, the angels entrusted with those souls brought their needs into his prayer. At times, he would correct a penitent sharply, insisting on honesty and conversion. At other times, he would console them with immense gentleness. In both modes, he acted as one who had been briefed by heaven's messengers about what was truly needed for that soul's healing. There are stories of Padre Pio in his cell suddenly calling out or turning toward the door with urgency, though no one visible had entered. Moments later, someone in grave spiritual or physical danger would arrive, or he would begin to pray intensely for a distant person. For him, this was simply responsiveness to what the angels were showing him. He also believed that guardian angels stood beside the beds of the sick and discussed their condition with heaven, asking what graces might be given, what sufferings might be accepted or relieved, what conversions might be drawn forth through sickness. To live, in his eyes, was to be constantly accompanied by this tender, yet fierce intelligence, working tirelessly for our salvation. The role of the guardian angel in suffering was especially dear to him. He knew that human pain, if lived without meaning, can corrode the heart. But he also knew that God, in his mercy, rarely leaves a suffering soul unaided. The angel, he said, stands close in times of sickness, grief, and interior darkness. It gathers our tears, offers them to God as a kind of prayer without words, and at the same time brings us mysterious consolations. A sudden sense that one is not alone in a hospital room at night. The feeling, in the middle of intense sorrow, that an unseen hand has been placed quietly upon the shoulder. The strength to endure one more hour, when minutes before endurance seemed impossible. These, he would say, are often the work of the guardian angel, who cannot always remove the cross but can support us beneath its weight. To speak of angels battling darkness may make the modern mind uneasy, trained as it is to trust only what instruments can measure. But Padre Pio spoke from a different horizon. For him, spiritual warfare was not metaphor, it was experience. He saw demons as real agents of hatred and destruction, and angels as real agents of love and protection. When he encouraged people to invoke their guardian angels, he was inviting them to cooperate with a real ally, not to console themselves with imagination. When he urged them to listen to the quiet warnings in their conscience, he was teaching them to recognize the influence of grace carried by these luminous beings. Consider how he saw the angelic presence during prayer. He did not imagine a person kneeling in isolation. He saw them surrounded. The guardian angel knelt with the soul. Even when the person's prayer was distracted or poor, it helped gather their attention, shield them from spiritual interference, and carry their half-formed petitions to God. When a person felt unable to pray at all, crushed by grief or dryness, the angel's prayer did not cease. Padre Pio would reassure such souls that there was still praise rising from their hearts, because their angel continued to adore God in their name even when their own lips were silent and their mind felt empty. He went further. He believed that angels help shape the long arc of a life through intuitive guidance. The choices we make are truly ours, and grace, never erases freedom. Yet, within that freedom, the guardian angel acts like a discreet but masterful guide, arranging encounters, placing certain books or words before us, stirring interest in a vocation or repugnance toward a path that would harm us. Perhaps someone meets a wise priest just when they are ready to listen, or stumbles upon a passage in a spiritual book that answers a question they had not yet dared to ask. Perhaps a conversation on a train plants a seed that later blossoms into faith. From his perspective, such coincidences were rarely accidental. Behind them stood the tireless creativity of guardian angels, weaving strands of grace through the fabric of everyday life. There are accounts of Padre Pio sending his guardian angel as an instrument of very concrete help. A person in danger, unable to reach him physically, begged their angel to go to him. At that moment, many miles away, he would feel a prompt in his spirit, rise from what he was doing, and begin to pray or offer Mass for that intention. Later, when the person came to see him and began to recount the episode, he would finish the story for them, already familiar with details they had never shared. To those who asked how this was possible, he would simply point to their guardian angels, as if nothing could be more natural. In these and countless other ways, visible and invisible, his life became a window onto a world that is always here, surrounding every person, in every place. The monastery of San Giovanni Rotondo, with its stone walls, chapel, and confessional, was one small node in a vast spiritual network that stretched across continents. Through that node moved a ceaseless exchange of intercession, carried largely by angels who needed no passports and crossed no borders. In their silent journeys, the lines of nations and the distances of geography meant nothing. Only love and need registered in their movement. They served as living proof that heaven's concern for each soul is intimate, constant, and unbounded by human limitation. The most astonishing part of Padre Pio's testimony, perhaps, is not the intensity of his personal experiences, but the universality of the reality he described. He insisted that what was extraordinary in his case was the level of perception, not the underlying truth. He saw what everyone has but does not perceive. Every human being walks through life accompanied by a guardian angel. This angel is present at birth, leans close over the crib, and sings wordless hymns of gratitude for the existence of a new image of God. It walks beside the child on their first steps, rejoices at their first prayer, sorrows over their first deliberate sin. It watches the unfolding of childhood dreams and adolescent rebellions. It stands in classrooms and workplaces, in city streets and country fields, in churches and in places of sin. It never abandons its post. Even when a person turns their back on God entirely, sinking into patterns of sin or indifference, the angel remains. It cannot approve of evil or prevent the consequences of freely chosen wrongs, but it also cannot cease to love. Its fidelity is a reflection of divine patience. Padre Pio spoke of guardian angels who accompany souls even into the deepest darkness, who stand outside the closed doors of hearts, knocking in silence, unwilling to leave. When such a soul finally turns, even slightly, toward repentance, the angel is the first to greet that movement with exultation. This vision offers profound consolation. It means that no one is ever completely alone in their struggle, however abandoned they may feel. It also carries a sober invitation. If the guardian angel is always at our side, then our choices are never purely private. They unfold in the presence of a friend who loves us more purely than any human companion. To become aware of that presence is to feel both comforted and called higher. Padre Pio believed that a soul that awakens to its angel undergoes a deep transformation. Life is no longer perceived as a succession of random events, but as a pilgrimage accompanied by a wise and loving guide. The interior tone of days changes. One might begin to speak inwardly to the angel while walking down a street, while sitting on a bus, while washing dishes, while weeping in secret. Questions that were once cast into an indifferent universe are now addressed to a specific, listening presence. Help is asked for in temptation. Protection is requested in danger. Gratitude is expressed after deliverance. Very gradually, this habit of heart reorients the entire existence toward God, because the guardian angel always points beyond itself to the one it serves. In times of fear, this awareness becomes a shelter. When anxiety tightens the chest and thoughts spiral toward panic, remembering the angel can interrupt the descent. Padre Pio would tell souls to entrust their worries to their guardian angel, to imagine placing their fears in those invisible hands and letting the angel carry them to God. This is not a psychological trick, but a spiritual act of trust. It acknowledges that there is more at work in their situation than what they can control. It opens a space for grace to enter, often bringing with it that strange peace which the world cannot give and cannot understand. In temptation, the guardian angel acts as both shield and mirror. Shield, by pushing back dark suggestions and disturbances that do not arise from the person's own heart, but from external evil influences. Mirror, by reflecting more clearly the consequences of choices, helping the soul see more sharply what is truly at stake. Under this light, sin appears not as an attractive liberty, but as a wound to love. And virtue appears not as mere obligation, but as an opening into deeper freedom. Padre Pio would urge those who struggled with particular sins to call on their angel at the very first moment of temptation, not waiting until the will had already largely consented. The earlier the angel is invoked, the more room there is for its help to be effective. When death approaches, the ministry of the guardian angel reaches its most tender and decisive hour. Padre Pio, who spent long hours at bedsides, saw the angel as a gentle midwife of the soul, helping it pass through the narrow gate between this life and the next. In those final moments, when earthly supports are stripped away, the angel stands even closer, reminding the soul to trust, to surrender, to look toward the mercy of God. For those who have lived in conscious friendship with their angel, this transition is less frightening, because it is experienced in the company of someone already deeply familiar. For those who have ignored or forgotten their angel, the encounter is still full of mercy, for the angel has not forgotten them. In the end, the world Padre Pio inhabited is not a separate sphere reserved for saints. It is the same world we inhabit, but perceived with wider eyes. The air around us is not empty. It is filled with presences. The silence around our decisions is not a vacuum. It is populated with the attentive concern of an angel who longs for our holiness more than we do. The darkness that sometimes seems to press upon our minds is never total, because there is always at least one beam of light burning beside us, refusing to be extinguished. If you walk into a crowded city at dusk and look up, you will see lights blooming in the windows of tall buildings. Behind each light is a story, a person, a set of cares and hopes. Padre Pio would ask you to see even more. Behind each of those windows, an angel keeping watch. In hospitals and prisons, in schools and factories, in small houses and in grand mansions, there is no human life without this silent sentinel. On battlefields and in refugee camps, in deserts and on ships at sea, angels lean over exhausted faces, whisper courage, stir repentance, offer consolation. The story of guardian angels that he unfolded is, finally, a story of the gentleness of God. The creator of the universe is not content to leave each soul to wander unaided through a dangerous world. He assigns to each a companion whose entire being is ordered toward that soul's good. This companion is powerful and pure, yet humble, content to remain unnoticed if that is what serves the person's freedom. It bears patiently with our forgetfulness, our faults, our sins. As you listen to these things, something within you may stir, a faint echo of a truth you have always known but rarely named. Perhaps you can remember moments when you felt inexplicably protected, when a danger passed close but did not touch you, when a word came into your mind at just the right time, when a path opened unexpectedly after long frustration. In the light of Padre Pio's witness, you are invited to look back at those moments with new eyes and ask whether they might have been orchestrated by the quiet fidelity of your guardian angel. I am Elias, and I tell you this not as myth or pious ornament, but as something anchored in the lived experience of a man who walked between two worlds. Padre Pio's life was a window through which the traffic of angels could be glimpsed. The message that comes to us through that window is simple and immense. You are not alone. From the first instant of your existence, an angel has loved you, watched over you, fought for you, prayed for you. When you were indifferent, it remained. When you were rebellious, it remained. When you were broken, it was closest. If you begin, even now, to speak to this companion, to welcome its presence, to ask for its help, your life will not suddenly become easy, but it will become different. The same difficulties will arise, the same crosses will appear, the same mysteries of suffering and joy will unfold. Yet, you will walk through them with a more profound awareness of being accompanied. Fear will not vanish, but it will be met by a steady hand on your soul. Temptation will not disappear, but it will find a heart less isolated, more supported by grace. In that sense, to awaken to your guardian angel is to awaken to a more accurate picture of reality. The visible world remains what it is, but now you know what Padre Pio knew, that behind and within it moves a vast communion of love. You are part of that communion. The decisions you make either harmonize with it or resist it. Your guardian angel stands at the intersection, always inviting you, always guiding you, always ready to take your smallest yes and carry it upward as an offering. When the long day of your life is over and you stand at the threshold you have approached in every breath, this angel will be there. It will not be a stranger. It will be someone whose influence you have felt 1,000 times. Someone who has watched you sleep and listened to your prayers. Someone who has wept for your sins and rejoiced at your repentance. Then, in the fullness of light, you will see clearly what Padre Pio, by grace, saw in shadows, that your journey has never been solitary, that you have always walked in the company of a love older than the stars.